5 things you can do with an IRA that you can't do with a 401k. IRA or 401k. Know the key differences between these two popular retirement plans so that you can ensure that your savings are in the right account. Individual retirement accounts, which are known as IRAs, and 401ks share a lot of similarities. They're both retirement plans. They both can help you lower your tax bill today and provide you with tax-deferred growth, and also help you provide income as a source in retirement. But there are also many differences between IRAs and 401ks. Now, some are relatively benign and possibly won't impact you very much, but other differences can actually make one type of account far superior to the other in particular situations. So with that in mind, today we will explore 5 things you can do with an IRA that you can't with a 401k. Number 1, make a qualified charitable distribution. So qualified charitable distributions allow IRA owners and IRA beneficiaries age 70 and a half or older to send up to $100,000 from their IRA accounts directly to a charity without including any of that amount in their income. If you make a qualified charitable distribution, you won't get a charitable deduction. But by never adding the income to your tax return in the first place, it still often results in a lower tax bill than if you had taken a normal IRA distribution and made a regular charitable contribution. In no case would your tax bill be higher. As an added bonus to all that, your qualified charitable distribution can be used to offset all or portions of your required minimum distribution after age 72. Number 2, take a penalty-free distribution for higher education expenses. In general, distributions taken from a retirement account prior to age 59 and a half are subject to income tax and additional 10% early distribution penalty. The law does, however, provide for a number of exceptions to this rule. One such exemption is available if you use your IRA to pay for higher education expenses, such as college tuition, books, required supplies, a computer for a school, for example. That would be for yourself or for certain other family members, such as your children. Note that this exception is only available if you take your money out of your IRA prior to age 59 and a half. If you try to do the same thing from a 401k, you're going to wind up with a tax bill that's bigger than you had bargained for. Some very smart and well-educated people, including lawyers and CPAs, have gone to tax court to argue that point, and none of them has walked away as a victor in this case. So don't make the same mistake they did. Number 3, take distributions when you want. They call the retirement account for a reason. It's supposed to be for your retirement. That said, life happens, and sometimes people need to access their funds for any reason sooner than planned. If you're still working for the company sponsoring your 401k and need some additional funds, you're at the mercy of your plan's rules, and to an extent, at the mercy of the tax code when it comes to being able to access your money. Typically, access to funds is extremely limited, especially if you're still under the age of 59 and a half. In these kind of cases, you may be able to take a loan, for example, from your 401k, and you may be able to take a hardship distribution, but neither of these options are guaranteed to you legally. In contrast, if you have an IRA, you can typically take a distribution from your account whenever you want. There are no restrictions under the law whatsoever. Of course, as noted above, if you take a distribution from your plan or your IRA prior to age 59 and a half, you will generally owe income tax and penalty, of course. But if you really need those funds and there is nowhere else to turn, what choice do you really have? Number 4, aggregate RMDs between multiple accounts. Today, it's not uncommon for people to have several 401ks or similar plans accumulated over time through work with different employers. Similarly, many retirees have more than one IRA account. Some even have 10 or more. If you have more than one 401k and you're age 72 or older, you must calculate the RMD for each one of those 401k plans separately, and you must take those RMDs separately from each plan. In contrast, if you have more than one IRA and you're age 72 or older, an RMD must be calculated for each IRA, but if you want to, you can combine or aggregate the RMDs and take them from one IRA or combination of IRAs you choose, and that would be without penalty. If you accidentally took the same approach with your 401k plans, you'd be subject to a 50% penalty for each plan from which you did not take the appropriate distribution. Number 5, avoid withholding. Paying your taxes is not optional. It's a requirement. You may, however, have a very low or even non-existent tax bill after applying all of your available deduction, exemptions, credits, etc. Alternatively, you may have withholding from other sources, such as pension, or make estimated tax payments that are sufficient for you to cover your tax bill. In such cases, there's no reason to have any further amounts withheld from your retirement account distributions. Doing so would just be giving the government a tax-free loan until you filed your taxes and received your refund. If you have an IRA, you'd be able to avoid this, because when you take a distribution from your IRA, you can opt out entirely of withholding. This, however, would not be the case if you had a 401k. In general, distributions from a 401k that are eligible for a rollover are subject to mandatory withholding of 20%. Also, there's no opt-out provision. After all, isn't called strongly suggested withholding. So there you have it. 5 things you can do with an IRA that you can't do with a 401k. Does that mean that IRAs are better than 401ks? No, of course not. They're different. For some people, IRAs are better, while others will actually benefit more from a 401k. Could we, for instance, find 5 things you can do with a 401k that you can't do with an IRA? Absolutely. Who knows? You might see something like that from us in the near future. So if you want to learn more, we have a webinar on IRA planning. It's called Tax Saving Strategies to help you get more out of your IRA. The link is in the description below. So when it comes to your IRA and other retirement accounts, you probably have a lot of questions. How do I minimize my taxes so I can spend more of my hard-earned money? When do I need to begin taking withdrawals? What happens to my IRA when I'm gone? This webinar will be going over strategies to help you save taxes and get more out of your IRA. Again, the link is in the description below. We'll see you there.